Okay, so Black, White, Death Shadow. When this card was added in the most recent Historic Anthology, a lot of people were worried it could be too good in this format, and it's definitely proven not to be too good. However, this Black-White shell is one that felt very playable last season. However, we haven't played it this season, so I'm interested to see how it feels now. This did get a couple of new cards from the Strixhavens in the archives. So we got Inquisition of Kozilek to supplement Thoughtseize as a discard spell from the archives. And then I've added 4 copies of Elite Spellbinder here as more disruption and also an evasive threat. I really like the white splash with Shadow as opposed to red, because Ranger of Eos has been a really fantastic tool. This was from one of the early archives that was added to Historic. So this grabs 2 1-mana creatures out of your deck when it comes into play. So this can draw extra copies of Shadow. It can find us Knights of the Ebon Legion. And then you see 4 1-mana things here that provide different utility in different spots. So Savior and Life's Bounty let us protect our threats. Giant Killer lets us be a little bit interactive. And then Faerie Guidemother here is kind of our Teamer Battle Rage that we can tutor up to let us jump a big shadow up over our opponent's blockers. We get Skyclave Apparition as a little bit of interaction, and then Adanto Vanguard gives us really great control over our life total, so we can play Shadow aggressively and also power it up if our opponent chooses not to block it. This card sitting in play with Shadow often leaves your opponent in board states where they have to make kind of awkward blocks, because if they don't, you just hammer your own life total and then your opponent dies. So let's go ahead and dive on into some games with this and see how Black-White Shadow feels in a post-Strixhaven Historic. I think Silver Quill Command is probably just worse than Ranger of Eos, and if you look at my deck, I don't even have 4 Ranger of Eos in my main deck. There's only so much room for cards that are grindy. The classic 6-lander into the 1-lander. This is not amazing, but we'll keep it. Savo, thanks for the follow. Good morning. Putting a stop on my opponent's end step so I can deal 1 to myself. No, none of the Cavaliers are seeing Historic play. They're a little bit too weak for their mana cost, unfortunately. If you don't put a stop on your opponent's end step, it does not give you priority to hurt yourself with this. This does not bode well for us. Okay. It'd be nice if we could draw some spells, but we technically have the board stabilized here if they don't have a piece of removal. There's a Reanimator Shell and a Historic. So the problem with reanimating something like a Cavalier is we don't have reanimate spells like Reanimate in this format. So like your spells that are reanimating in Historic are like 4 and 5 mana, and at that rate you might as well just be casting a Cavalier, and casting a Cavalier isn't really powerful enough. So there's a Dragon Reanimator Shell that has felt quite reasonable to me that we've played on stream. You can find that one up in the fan favorite section of my website. Because in that one, you're spending 4 or 5 mana to reanimate a 7 mana play, which is more relevant. So not dead on board, but not in a great spot here. Ranger of Eos. So we're dead, right? I can play Life's Bounty, and I can block Lovestruck, block Steel Leaf Champion. I can Ifnir Deadlands something, but then I'm taking 4 on the block and I'm going to 3. It does not kill 2 elves, it puts it on 1 creature. Yeah, that's the big question you have to ask yourself. Not only do you have to ask yourself, is reanimating this worse than ramping into it? But you have to ask yourself, is it worth the potential downsides that you have of ramping instead of using the graveyard? Because like when you use the graveyard, you're exposing yourself to graveyard hate as well. So discard spells, again, in these creature matchups, you basically want to cut your discard spells that have more things that play to the board. Does Elite Spellbinder come out here? Would I rather have Inquisition or Elite Spellbinder? This is an evasive threat, but it's kind of slow. I just feel like I'd rather have Inquisition. Maybe put in an extra doggo here, too. Make blocking easier, leave a couple Inquisition in. And 27 creatures. It could be that Inquisition's better than Vanguard, too. That's controlling our life total can be pretty good. Okay. Setsumi, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel today. Thanks everybody for bringing it out. Great to see over 1,500 people in here. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Jeff Hoagland. I stream full-time here on Twitch. We do Magic 5 days a week to start, Monday through Friday. Play all constructed, mostly historic these days. Usually play 3 or 4 different decks each day, changing decks every 60 to 90 minutes. So always get a lot of variety in here each day of the week. Extra white source, probably extra white source here, because if I draw Skyclave, I want to be able to cast it. We draw an untapped land next turn. We probably Ranger for a giant killer or 2. Start by attacking here. If they block, we pump. Honestly, maybe I was right to 5 them there. Could be right to leave that to hit us since we have the shadow. Nice. Is Gurmag any good without fetches? Yeah, I think so. So this definitely isn't getting any more shadows at this point. Do we just get double Giant Killer against their creature deck? I think so. if Bloodchief's Thirst to push the Scavenging Ooze over. Yeah, I'm like, Giant Killer's like a 2-for-1 in a way in these matchups, right? Because it like kills something and then it survives to diddle something. Oh. Hexproof from black, eh? It'd be a darn shame if there were removal spells of other colors. Well, I guess I should technically kill this first, so that way they can't gain a life in a response. Some loose sequencing here on my part. Crunch. Yeah, they could be a henge deck. We've got Vanishing Verse that can tag henge post board, which is nice. This card's super good against like these green company decks. They have a lot of monocolored targets that are high impact. Yeah, honestly, like, I know this is a Death Shadow deck, but it's kind of, like, not the best thing about it, right? Like, I feel like if I was doing this deck justice, we'd call it a Ranger of Eos deck. I guess it depends on the matchup, too. Like, in the matchup for the card advantage matters, Ranger is best for sure. Sweet. So now we're on the draw. On the draw, I'm going to put the 3rd Inquisition in, and I'm going to cut the 4th Adanto Vanguard. Have more cheap cards that we can play early. Is Fervent Champion playable in Historic? There's probably a Tribal Lights deck in this format, I have to imagine. Because we have 2 of the 3 Mardu fast lands. I have the 4th Ranger in the sideboard for when it's good Masta. I don't think Kaya, you only want to bring Kaya in as removal when she's hitting high impact things. Killing their elf on turn 3 when we're on the draw isn't really a great play. Kaya is a good card in this format, but she's just not in our deck for a matchup like this. Someone can delete the tournament command for us, that'd be great. And now our knight gets a token here, because we did 4 to ourselves. think changing CMC to mana value was a great change. I think it adds clarity and it reduces the amount of words on the card. Nothing but positive. Death Shadow really getting to flex this game. That's fine. I don't wanna get punked out by some collected company to some weird haste creature I'm not thinking of. Well, in before Sign in Blood. They're a collected company deck. I better not get Sign in Blood in chat. I feel like this black-white archetype was underexplored after Death Shadow released. So many people were playing Death Shadow alongside Arcanist, and it didn't really make sense there. It felt really good to me in this shell last season. Inquisition's a solid upgrade. Spellbinder's probably a solid upgrade too, honestly. Think about Duress as a companion. I think Duress is much worse than all of... It's not just Ranger Huevos. It's Ranger, it's Skyclave Apparition, it's Elite Spellbinder, it's Kaya out of the sideboard. Ranger is much better than Duress. In fact, I think that's a big part of why this archetype fell off in terms of people working on it too, because I think too many people tried to shove it into these Duress shells that it just didn't make sense in. Like, this isn't a good Duress deck. Rogues. Where this matchup goes. Yeah, looks like rogues. Kaya, talking about Kaya and Rest in Peace are both excellent here. We've got those in our sideboard. Drawn on the Lock's a pretty fair card at 4 mana. if this gets drowned, it opens us up to Ranger of Eos as a great draw, so like, this is fine. Or like, playing a game where do they draw Ranger, or do I draw... Or sorry, do I draw Ranger, or do they draw into the story first? Sushi Sharks, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, and then I'm getting to hit that first, probably game winning, I imagine. Okay. Okay. So you're saying there's a chance. Take a chance on me. Do. I wonder if this deck wants some Sign in Bloods. Yeah, so when your opponent has counter spells in their deck, Chewy, that's not really a discard mirror. Would be my suggestion to you. Or the difference there being talking about discard mirrors and sideboarding out spells. So, like, you're right, it's, like, technically a discard mirror, but I wouldn't slot that under the same category because you both have counter spells. And, like, being able to, like, poke through their counter spells is a big deal. Tagging something, like, into the story randomly has a lot of upside, too. Rough. Honestly, if they want to try and get to attacks, I'm in for that. I do not want to draw this Thoughtseize. I'll take a couple points to not redraw that one. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like the people that are like, Sign in Blood is what this deck wants to be doing. Like, to a degree, that's a little bit of a reductionist opinion, because that's just like, people like to put every card that, like, loses them life into the Rogues deck, or into the Death Shadow deck. I don't think it's just as simple as, okay, you know, this loses us life, so it's an easy shoe-in. Great. Can Ranger Resolving pull us through here? They're at 9. We have them dead on board, technically. They obviously have 3 cards in their hand, but it's a pretty good one. Well, huh. Yeah, I think we just Deadlands the Duress and attack, right? Either to not have the Death Touch idiot here. This is the Death Touch idiot or a removal spell, we're in trouble. They might double block, yeah. This has been a sweet game. I feel like post-board, when we get to board in Rest in Pieces and Kaya's, this has got to be good for us. Okay, so how do I want to sideboard? Giant. Faerie Guidemother's not very good. Actually, I probably want the extra good boy, right? Yeah, I think we definitely get better post board than they do. With our Rest in Pieces and Kaya's. Like, there aren't really sideboard cards that hose us. I think this comes out, it doesn't kill their stuff, the tapping is kinda whatever. The people in chat that are having a discussion about being angry about Wizards of the Coast decisions, like, Wizards of the Coast, like, is just basically like any other company under capitalism. They all kind of suck. Play games that you enjoy and spend money on things that you like. Like, for a long time, I was one of the people that was like, you know, at least Wizards of the Coast does right in terms of things like, you know, social justice and being on the right side of politics. But like, then all the stuff came out about their issues with racism in their offices and hiring practices. It's just like, they all have these issues, right? Just like, don't get up on a moral high ground for any company that exists in late stage capitalism. They all suck. Play games that you like. And at the end of the day, it's all mostly the same. Crazy Duck, thank you for the tier 2. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Am I boarding out my discard spells here? I think I am. I don't know. Could go either way. Thanks for the music, NK. Or thanks for the follow, NK Music. Yeah, this is fine. It's technically a 3-lander. It's got good spells. Well, like, so, like, that's the decision, right? Do we want discard spells to make our Kayas and Rips resolve? I don't know. Like, what am I cutting, right? Like, sure, that sounds nice to a degree, but, like, my cards that play to the board also sound really nice. One Shadow, here we go. Yeah, there's this weird, like, I agree that Magic has ticked up a lot of their "this product isn't for me" type additions to the game in recent years, but, like, that's never really bothered me personally because I've never played Limited, right? And, like, Limited is a huge part of Magic, so I'm just, like, used to the fact that there's a huge part of Magic that, like, has no bearing on my life and never will. So, like, when they started adding, like, secret layers and other weird things that are just, like, these are specialty products not targeted at me, the competitive player, it's just like, well, whatever, that's no different. That's no different than anything else. Alright, so I'm gonna Dire Tactics this other Enforcer here before they get to mill 4, I think. The band's extreme. I think Fizzy was making a joke in poor taste. I agree. I agree their joke was in poor taste, but a ban's a little extreme. I don't know. Secret. My feelings about secret layers, I feel like, are pretty different than a lot of people in the community. The secret layer products, in my opinion, are less predatory than Magic's normal distribution model. Secret layers are expensive and they leverage fear of missing out. But in my opinion, a fear of missing out is less bad than how Magic has gambling as a feature, basically. Like normal default stock card acquisition in Magic is requires you to gamble. So like, one of the big things that a lot of people don't understand is like, what's the word I'm searching for? Oh, that like just because something is expensive doesn't mean it's predatory. It's a discussion topic that comes up a lot for me with other people. They're like, oh, that's expensive, so it's predatory. It's like, no, it's like the gambling and fear of missing out things. Can I ask a broad question about how to create a sideboard and writing an article about a sideboard guy? I don't like that. That's like, there's literally been entire books written on that topic, Mana Symbol. So I just like, there isn't like a quick, easy answer for me for you, basically. Rotten Agenda. Thank you for the tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, exactly. And like, just because something's predatory doesn't mean it has to be terrible and you can't enjoy it. Like, casinos are super predatory. Doesn't mean gambling can't be fun. I enjoy playing poker and blackjack. But like, the way those companies operate definitely like isn't great. Wanted to uptick Kaya so they couldn't kill it. I mean, then I have to block on the backswing, right? But like, they likely have something like this. Thanks, Rotten Agenda. I appreciate it. Wouldn't be able to be here without folks like you. All right, untapped land. Well, I boarded out my discard spells. Well, I could hit Elite Spellbinder. Yikes. Unchecked Luris. Oh, I've exiled all their stuff. Right, so Luris is whatever. That's great. Come on, untapped land. Come on, untapped land. Well, I mean, this gets rid of the extra points of power on these. Oh, now I get to see if they're dead before I attack? They have to unsummon it. That's great. We actually have kind of a close game here still, right? Because, like, I have to block. I'm dead to a removal spell. I have to block here. Am I dead? Razor thin game. Yeah, this matchup actually seems pretty okay. Sweet, I'm glad this deck feels good again. I almost asked my art guy for a banner for this deck before we played it. I think I'm definitely gonna get one and add this one up to the site. I think there's a lot of, like, we had so many viewer submissions, I haven't gotten a chance to replay a lot of decks from last season with small upgrades like this. And, like, I can't decide if I want Sign in Blooded here or not. Can't decide if I want Sign in Blood. I don't even have room for 4 Ranger in the main deck. Yeah, I feel like all my spells have a place. Like, I'd have to, like, go down on something like Bloodchief's Thirst, and I think I want those in the main. Yeah, in fact, I think we have enough ways to hammer our life total. Honestly, this 3rd Inquisition might be better as the 4th Ranger in the main. We keep playing games where I want to draw that. Maybe I put a 2nd Duress in the sideboard over that. I think that's what I want to do. Yeah, I think we cut an Inquisition, put the Ranger in the main, and then put an extra Duress in the board. I think I want 8 discard spells in the 75. I don't think 6 has to be in the main. Yeah, I've got 8 Bolt Lands too. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think if we want more card advantage past the Ranger, Sign in Blood could be good, but I'm not sure that we do. The new sideboard is impossible to see what's going on at a glance. Remember, you can type ! deck in chat to see the current list up on Cardboard Live. Big Iron Scruff, thanks for the follow. Good morning. Okay, bad die roll to lose. Do we Bloodchief's Thirst kill the Collector, or do we pick apart their hand? I think I want to try and stop them from going crazy with Burning Tree Emissary next turn. Okay. It's not terrible for us. Ban Urza's Tower. Listen, you are among good friends and good company, ban Urza's Tower. So we do this, and then we get to Bolt and Awakening, Spellbinder their company next turn. Sweet. Don't have to Bolt in anymore. Ideally, we don't want to hurt ourselves in this matchup, because they're going to hurt us plenty. Coco is much worse than 6. You're not. Oh, you know what? I should have played this tapped. So I could pump plus do this next turn without spending extra. Yeah, that was a mistake. I think I just let these trade, and then I'm gonna bolt this in despite my mistake and do this. There's an untapped land into this company that could punish us here, but like we're in a pretty good position to race here. Obviously it would feel much better if I was +3 life, but and sequencing there catching up for us. Tinfoil Terror subbing 3 months in advance. Thanks for the commitment. I plan to be here. Thanks for keeping me around. Alright, so Giant Killer's good here. Bloodchiefs, Dire Tactics, Vanishing Verse. Thoughtseize boards out here. Like I said, they're going to do plenty of damage to us for us. Selfless Savior is pretty decent at giving us okay blocks, so I think that comes in. I think on the draw, we just trim Adanto Vanguards. Yeah, I would have Dream because we hit them with Spellbinder plus the thing there. Yeah, Vanguard's pretty bad in the draw, I agree. Inquisition's a fine discard spell to leave in here because breaking up their curve is okay. You know, honestly, I think Adanto is bad enough on the draw that I want one Thoughtseize in. You never want to draw 2 Thoughtseize, but I think the first one is fine here. And having some of these to break their curve up and give us information can be valuable. Right, maybe I'm supposed to bring in the Fracture as an extra way to tag Ember Cleave here. It'd give me 3 ways to kill Cleave. It's also very possible I just want 3 of the Exile target monocolored thing in my sideboard. I think we gotta go to 5 here. And it's just too painful and doesn't play to the board, which we have to do in this matchup. Okay, yeah, this is not amazing, but fine. We're gonna bottom this. I think I want to keep the Shadow. Tantrums, thanks for the 35 months. Welcome back. You wanna ditch Vanishing over Thirst, really? Maybe? Yeah, in the aggro matchups, you want your opponent to hit you. Like, exactly that. You don't really want to hurt yourself too much here. So, I'm actually going to take an Abrade here because I have another Spellbinder in my hand. So we're gonna eventually want to take the Cleave, but I'm expecting they'll Abrade the Spellbinder here end of turn, and then next turn, like if I took Cleave this turn, next turn they'd be able to Abrade this in response, then maybe this doesn't tempo anything. Untap White Source. Untap White Source. Well, do we... So I'm going to 4. The problem is if I do this and they peel an untapped land, they get to Abrade this and hit me for 7. They don't peel the untapped land. I'm in a decent spot though. Untapped land. Untapped land. Seven. This is a 6/6 currently. Okay. I'm gonna make Pelt Collector a 7/7 here. Oh, magic. Actually, we're actually in a pretty okay spot here, right? Yeah, so if I blocked with just Shadow, there's a chance I could have punked them out with the interface. But if they work the interface right and they assign all the damage to Shadow there, I get got by a lot. So I don't think that's a worthwhile risk to take. But yeah, if I would have blocked with the 6 and they would have trampled me for 1, the Shadow would live, and it would be a 7/7. I think I'm gonna play this. Actually, maybe I should have shocked in for this last turn to protect from a braid. I think I'd play this tapped, because playing it tapped makes Ranger of Eos a much better draw. Because it means I can Ranger and Shadow in the same turn. Thanks for the follow, Captain Wasabi. Nice. Okay, so am I supposed to Skyclave them? I think we're just supposed to put Shadows into play, right? Because, like, my Shadow's gonna be a 6/6. What happens if they have Cleave in hand? So if they have Cleave in hand, they cleave for 10, I block 6 out of the 10, I take 4, I live. Yeah, I think the play is attack for 6, play Ranger, play Shadow. Well, I can only play one of the Shadows this turn. And I think I get backup Giant Killer here since I can't cast both Shadows here anyways. Man, this deck's been really impressive. It's felt sweet. Yanis, thanks for the follow. Yeah, it definitely generates good games of Magic. Very, very sweet interactive games. Indestructible does not mean they have to assign lethal twice, no. This hopefully means we beat most companies here. Oh no! Oh no, I take 2 when I target it, chat. Oh no! Thanks. Thanks, Bone Daddy. I don't believe any of those bad things those standard players say about you. You're my buddy. You're my pal. Jatva, thanks for the follow. Good morning. Almost afternoon here. And honestly, you know, we talked about this a little bit too with some of the other decks, but this is another deck that even though we didn't get a ton of powerful upgrades in the most recent set for this, the metagame shift has been valuable to this deck because less cat ovens in the format have made this deck be better positioned. Zigzags, thanks for the 2 years. And Arnie Asari, thank you for the 17 months. This card is great, chat. This card is great. His hand is a little sketch maybe, but this card is excellent. What happened to Cat Oven? So, the Cat Oven decks were pushed out in part. They're not unplayable, but they've been pushed out in part due to the fact that spell-based combo decks have become playable. So the main archetype that was added to the format is spell-based combo that makes them feel worse. The food variation that's being mopey with Trail of Crumbs is pretty awful. The company version that's more aggressive is fine. But I think the bigger, slower, like, play to the board food version is not great. TBR is not legal yet, no. Little bit of awkwardness here with our one main deck bounty and our shadows. Probably not attacking here. TBR is Teamer Battle Rage. It's a card that Grixis Shadow plays. Older a format gets, the less playable Cat Oven seems to be. Looking at Modern and Pioneer, think Flying Spaghetti Bot. Yeah, right, Whiskey? I agree. I am not a huge fan of the play patterns that archetype, so I'm with you that I'm glad that it's become less playable. Not really drawing quite the right half of our deck that we want to draw against the spell-based combo deck. You know, like Skyclave and these, not great. Definitely would have mulliganed this opening hand if I knew the matchup we were playing. Okay, this turn I'm going to hit them for 1, even though I don't really want to gain a life, because it means I get a counter on here. We have a similar double strike trick in Historic. Not really that's playable. So like this black-white deck, for example, we're playing Faerie Guidemother as a way to give our big shadows evasion in a pinch. And that's worked very reasonably for me in this archetype. Flying, while always not the same as Trample Double Strike, does a pretty close impression at a pretty low cost, since we can tutor it up with Ranger of Eos. Is Storm viable? So far, the Storm cards have not proven to be problematic or powerful in Historic. They see fringe play in niche decks that largely have not been too strong. Now, Emergent Ultimatum is pretty good. Target player draws 7 cards, Time Warp, Omniscience. So I'd probably give them Time Warp, Omniscience, right? I guess they have this and these. But what are they gonna do with the turn and 7 cards? I actually think the turn and 7 cards lets them see less. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna give them the turn and 7 cards, I think. There's a good chance we're losing this game, chat. Emergent Ultimatum, generally speaking, reads win the game in this format. And that's fine. We'll get to sideboard and get rid of some dead cards like these, and we'll get to mulligan appropriately. Omni's only from hand, but they'll be able to cast these draw spells to find a meaningful spell and then get chaining through their deck that way, chat. So you are right, Omniscience doesn't cast these spells for free, but these spells with an extra turn will let them find something impactful like the draw 7. Whereas here, now they only have 6 mana. So, like I said, there's a good chance we lose regardless of what we give them there. But that's why I like playing Magic as a best of 3 game, because we're going to get to make good sideboarding choices and then intelligent mulliganing decisions post-board. It should be okay here in games 2 and 3. Emergent, for people that have played Magic's older formats, Emergent Ultimatum is a lot like Gifts Ungiven in that, like, you're kind of making a choice, but your choices also don't really matter most of the time. All right, well, the best thing they decided they could do was cast Explore, so hopefully that bodes well for us. Survey says... Hey, Fish Lamp Clock, thanks for the 2.5 years. Good morning. Speaking of, I think Gifts Ungiven would be sweet in this format. I would love to play a Gifts Ungiven control deck with an Unburial Rites package in it. Well, the opponent's archetype isn't really an established deck, so the idea that we can know what they're playing isn't really true. Alright, they ditched an ultimatum, so we could see untapped land Mizzix the ultimatum again here. Lava Coil, sure. Yep. Toasterito, thanks for the follow. Their interactive elements here might drag them across the finish line. With our Trip Shadow in hand and no way to enable them, it's really awkward. I'm liking Abundant Harvest. I think it's sweet. I think it's easily the best cheap card selection in this format. It's been better than both Brainstorm and Faithless Looting in my experience so far. But he's been booped. Yeah, Adanto Vanguard would be a good draw. The opponent's decks had infinite time to get set up this game, so I have to imagine this is good for them. The Temur Phoenix deck also plays Lovestruck Beast usually too, which is great. How many cards do you have left? There are only 13 cards in their deck. They exiled the Knight. Rude. Untapped Black Source means we get back a, Alright, how do I die? How do I die? Let's find out, huh? I'm gonna let them do their thing, because I assume they don't get to do it very often. I don't think they had a lethal card in here, right? I haven't seen a Grape Shot yet. Are they killing us with, like, Overflowing Insight? I have 46 cards in my deck. Are they gonna time out? They have 2 timeouts. Yeah, are they gonna lose from their draw spell? So the Mind's Desire decks them, right? They might time out, and I think there's a Brainstorm underneath this, right? Okay, and Brainstorm is lethal. What is going on? All right, listen, chat. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Just pick your cards up and go to the next game, okay? Be very quiet. We're hunting Storm players. Shh. All right, so we'll bring in the Rips, the Kayas, the Duresses, an extra Selfless Savior, an extra Faerie Guidemother. Let's not compare Magic decks to Suicide, please. And thank you in my chat. I'm the bad guy. Listen, this card's a meme in this format, chat. I was playing ranked on the ladder after winning a best of 3, my rank went down. Yeah, that can happen on occasion if lots of other people are also playing around you at the same time. Improbable, but not impossible. Do you think my opponent likes their hand, chat? I sure hope not. Yeah, I think you're supposed to lead on Inquisition, so you could take something like a Brainstorm to start. Are we having fun yet, opponent? Was it good for you? It was good for me. I got there. This is kind of better than Rest in Peace, honestly. It's going to kill them eventually. Get her ticking up here.
I like a good fight. Notice I didn't say fair.
Oh, there's a Tendrils in their deck. Dude, what are the odds they have a second win condition? Am I supposed to exile the Tendrils? You think they could win if I exiled that Tendrils? I just noticed that. Hey, Rain Spider, thanks for the 30 months. I appreciate it. Welcome back. I do need to take... So... I think I leave them looting, and I take Emergent Ultimatum and Overflowing Insight here to start, so that way if they peel Mizzix Mastery, it's not good. I think I take, that's the way, like, I look at this game and I ask myself, okay, how does my opponent get back in it? It's peel Mizzix Mastery, do a thing, right? Is the answer. Take Mind's Desire and Tendrils.
Pack your bags and hit the road.
I don't think they have a way to play Omniscience from the mid. Explore resolves. They're dead, right?
This is gonna...
Kaya kills the Death Shadow too. That's funny right there. Sorry, Shadow. You gotta take one for the team here. Pest removal is player removal, yep. What are lands? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Gets this one. I could greed bottom a land tier, but I think that's wrong. This card is so good. This card is way better than any Magic card should be allowed to be. You know, no joke, Jub. Like, however good you think Spellbinder is, it's probably better than that. I agree with that assessment. It's just so powerful. If we would have played Ifnir on 2, we could have Egdems on 3 to get a counter on the night. Ooh, that's a good catch. Thank you for pointing out that sequence pattern. This sounds excellent against their Nissa Gargoth deck. Rest seems fine here. We probably have spot removal that Selfless is fine against. Yeah, since I'm finally through the deck queue, my plan is to slowly revisit all of the decks we had played last season that felt reasonable and give them small updates. We'll still have some viewer submissions, I'm sure, as people submit other things to get played, but we're gonna be back to me picking out decks to play every day to some amount. Mutate turns is on my list of things to play. That deck is gas. I hope that deck is, if that deck's still good, it's definitely going on the site. Need a land drop in our next couple of draws. The Druid Explorer, no Spiral, sure. What's our best sequence? Like Adanto Vanguard into a land drop? Good boy, it's fine. I mean, I don't think I've been unhappy for the last 2 weeks, Giddix. I went back and looked, and we had something like, we've played something like 50 viewer decks in the last 2 weeks. It's been a lot, and it's been reasonably good. I think missing this land drop's probably a death knell. How many lands are in this deck? It's on 24 with the bolt lands. I think we're on 24, but we've also been just missing land drops a ton. I feel like I'm doubting myself. Yeah, we're on 24.
The land will not forsake you.
What's going on, D20? My favorite combo deck in Historic so far. I really like the Mutate Turns deck. We haven't played it this season, but it was sweet. We played combo tokens the other day. Felt very reasonable. It's hard to pick just one. As far as like my own personal play patterns go, these like small creature disruptive decks are the types of decks I prefer to play personally. Like combo decks are neat to pop off with, but it's like pretty rare that I like fall in love with the combo deck, for lack of a better words. The Stadium deck was worth watching. Yeah, if you missed the Stadium deck, it's worth watching. That one will definitely be on YouTube. For the record, I've stopped posting every deck we play to YouTube. I'm still posting most of them, but things that just like aren't worth watching, where it's just a deck getting slaughtered and not doing anything interesting for 45 minutes to an hour, I'm just not posting those anymore. So if there's a YouTube video of something on my channel and I felt it was worth watching, it'll get published. So if you see a deck title that looks interesting to you, I felt it was worth watching. It's gotta be too slow, right? I just don't want to miss a land drop again. Shing Emitter, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. It's probably just their acceleration. We played cards with normal for... Yeah, I don't have all the borderless stuff. I have borderless stuff for things that I like, though. So, like, a lot of these black white cards I like, so I have borderless cards for them. Yeah, someone asked me 3-color Spellbinder decks. We played Margie Vehicles of Spellbinder. I have a Jeskai Spellbinder deck, like, half-drafted in the back of my head, / my deck editor. I might get to that at some point. There's just so many good decks, right? Like, even playing 3 to 5 decks a day, there's just, like, endless ideas. Right on time, Shadow. Welcome to the party. We're gonna have a couple of shadows, yeah. It could be worth considering getting a Knight of the Ebon Legion there. I guess these are 4/4s already, so they're probably fine. Ooh. Getting to spot check a sweeper here is nice.
I am in need of rest.
Maybe that's wrong. I don't know. If I like take the time warp, they cast Nissa, and then Nissa ramps them to time warp. Shadow's Verdict misses Ranger at least, which is nice. I assume they're just gonna explore here. Yeah, Shadow's Verdict, the card we were talking about. What's there out? That one. That one right there. Robot Beater, cashing in our 28th Shillionaire. Thanks for watching a bunch over the last year or more. Be sure to ping me in the subs Discord to let me know to give you your custom roll, and feel free to submit a deck through the form on my website for your Shillionaire status. All right, do we play second Shadow or do we play Ranger? I'm kind of into second Shadow, huh? If I play second Shadow, I could pay 3 with this next turn, making them 7/7s, and they're almost dead, right? Yeah, they needed the untapped lands here with this, Derif, thanks for the follow. Okay, so they're obligated to block here. So if they're obligated to block anyways, do I just kill their Nissa? I guess if I attack the Nissa, they're not obligated to block, huh? If I attack them with everything, they're obligated to chump. Nissa's giving them 2 extra mana, 4 extra mana with her untap. I think I kill the Nissa. And attacking like this means if they go to block a Shadow attacking Nissa, I pay with Castle and then kill the Nissa and their land. So that's why I'm not Spellbindering first tier. Because if I threaten the Castle activation, they can't chump a Shadow and save the Nissa. So this kills Nissa and pushes 3 points of damage, and then we play Shadow post-combat. Yeah, this deck's great. It just has so much play to it. There's so many little lines like this that are excellent. They're out here as like another Shadow's Verdict, right? So I should just like play Ranger of Eos. That one doesn't die to Verdict. Sick. Ranger is, like I said, this deck is titled Black-White Shadow, but you could probably more accurately call it Black-White Ranger. Yeah, it felt like we had tools. It felt like we had tools to be reasonable in most places here, honestly. And like the Guidemother letting you jump big shadows lets you steal games almost anywhere. Elite Spellbinder, just another fantastic addition to another archetype. Last season when we played this deck, I felt like there were like 4 slots that I like didn't have a card that I really loved in it, and Spellbinder and Inquisition filled into the last couple of slots in this deck. Really nicely. And yeah, this is a deck that, you know, for a long time people were like, well, how is Historic different than Pioneer? Like, this deck really highlights that, right? Like, this is a deck that's only possible by the virtue of the Historic anthologies. So I don't think I have any changes after that set. I think I'm happy with pretty much everything we were doing. If you want the exact list, I'm going to add this one up to the deck list on my website later this evening once I get a graphic done up for it and get some time to do that. But it's also on my Stream Decker, and the whole video set for this will be up on my YouTube channel as well tonight. Well, like, Inquisition isn't Pioneer legal, but this also isn't a, what's the word that I'm searching for? This isn't like a make or break card, right? This is just a, you know, nice to have, not required. Like, the deck doesn't exist without these two.